So the first basic thing is like what is SQLLoader and why it is used, and how do we design a program using SQLLoader. Okay, SQLLoader is
Uh,
a, yeah, tell me.
I didn't get the slides or recording yesterday.
I'll send it.
Okay.
Yeah, SQLLoader is a utility from Oracle database, and it is used for the purpose of loading the data from the file into database table. Okay, it's a program which we use for the purpose of loading the data from the file into database table. Okay, and what file and which kind of format? So generally, like whenever you say data file, we have to consider like what kind of format it is. Nothing but for this program to read the content, we have to tell to the program saying that like our data is in this particular format, and these are the columns, these are the data types, and these are the restrictions you have to keep it, and you have to load the data into this particular table. Okay, so let's get into this deeper now. So it's an Oracle utility which I was telling you, and you require, whenever you want to design a program using SQLLoader, you require a data file, require a control file. So data file is nothing but like who will provide the data file? Nothing but the business user or the business environment, wherever you want to integrate those particular entities has to provide you the data file. And once you get the data file, as a developer, you have to design the control file. So control file is a program which will have the logic about what columns you have in the data file and to which table you want to load it, and what is the restriction you want to consider while loading the data file. So generally, like whenever you run the program, there's expectation that this may generate these set of files. Nothing but like generally when you're dealing with the data, there's a uh, high chance about like facing the issues with the date format issues, or like a corruption of data, or maybe like inadequacy of data. Nothing but, let us say you're expecting 5 columns but you got only 4 columns. Let us say there are mandatory columns but you did not have the mandatory values in the data file. So these kind of issues will come across. And some scenarios, what happens is, let us say you have a data file, there are 1,000 records which are good, but out of 1,000, I mean, let us say you have 1,000 total records are 1,000, but out of 1,000, 900 are good, 100 are bad. So as a developer, how do you know that the 100 are bad? Until unless you run a program, you cannot find out whether they are bad or not, right? So we cannot trace out each and every record, finding out like whether the data is correct or not, whether the mapping is correct or not. It's very difficult, right? That's the reason this log file or a bad file will tell you the information about why a particular record got rejected and what is the issue in that. So partial information will be provided by this utility also. Okay. And yeah, so one major important thing, let me tell you. So I was telling like there are three things, right? Data file, control file, and a bad file or log file. These are all the things which get generated whenever you run the program. So data file, who will provide the data file? Nothing but the source, source system. Okay, in the
Okay.
source system. Now, like generally, like this particular concept of your SQL loader comes into picture when you want to perform integration between different systems, right? When you want to perform integration with multiple IT systems, you'll generally come across this particular SQL loader concept. Generally, mostly. Let us say, take a scenario now. Assume that like you have a SAP system, you have HRMS data in the SAP system, and you want to integrate this with the Oracle ERP, Oracle EBIS. So now what happens is SAP says that I will provide you the data file and in CSV format, and you just load this particular data into your Oracle EBIS. That's what they say, right? So when you are when you want to design integration between different systems, first of all, we have to understand what columns you require from your target system. Nothing but, let us say when you want to create an employee in Oracle EBIS, we have to understand what are the mandatory columns you require, right? Like employee name, first name, last name, email, date of birth, nationality. These all things you require, right? So you have to design a data mapping generally, like so you have functional counterpart as well as technical counterpart as well as the business users. In any of the project, generally you'll have this set of people who will deal with the project, business users or the SMEs. So business users will tell you the requirement, and functional counterpart will provide you the mapping between, nothing but like a employee number in the source system is equivalent to employee ID in the target system. So they have to provide you all the mapping. They'll provide you the mapping document. Okay, and once they provide you the mapping document, technical developer has to design the data control file. Technical developer has to design the control file. Business user will provide you the, they'll just tell you the requirements, and they will also try to provide data file in some scenarios. But in some scenarios, as a technical developer, we have to write a program to receive the data file also. It depends. But assumption now, let us say business users will provide you the data file. Okay. So data file, one basic thing is, whenever you're considering about data file, we have to know that what is a format of it, right? There are two formats generally come across. Delimiter based, and another one is fixed length. So these are two formats you'll generally come across. Data format should be only in the text format. It cannot read the what you call binary format. Binary format is not allowed. It cannot read it. I mean to say, like, if your particular data file is in the Excel sheet or maybe MS Doc, those will not work. XLSX is not a text file. Okay. Docx is not a text file. PDF is not a text file. These are all binary formats. This cannot be read by any of the SQLLoader program. So generally CSV is a general allowed formats are CSV, text file, XML file, right? Or maybe some, like in some set of scenarios, like extension doesn't matter. The content is text, but the extension they may keep it, DAT or TSV. It depends on the source provider, how they are preparing the data file. So when you say delimiter base, what exactly the delimiter base is nothing but in each. So what exactly a data file contains? A data file will contain a set of records and columns. Data file contains set of records, and each record will have a set of columns. So in delimiter base, what happens is, in each record, the columns are separated by a column. Columns are separated by a special symbol. So what do you mean by special symbol? Like, who will provide that special symbol? It all depends upon the source provider. The source provider says, boss, I can provide you the data in which each and every column will get separated by comma. In some particular source provider, they say that no, we'll try to provide the data in such a way that each column will be separated by pound symbol. Some will say comma, someone say pound symbol, and someone say asterisk, right? So it depends upon the source system. Okay. Most predominantly the used format is CSV, nothing but comma separated version. Each column will get separated by comma. So that is what delimiter based means. So I'll try to see if I have samples. Yeah. If you see this CSV file generally can be opened by the Excel sheet, Microsoft Excel, or you can also open with any of the editors, notepad editors. Can you see here? All the data in this particular file got separated by comma. This is called comma separated version, delimiter based. Now, when you
Yes.
say fixed length, in fixed length, the difference is each record will have a column, and each column will get separated by a particular length. Separated by length. Nothing but, let us say my employee number is always 5 digits. Employee name is always 10 digits. So let us say I'll write like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is my employee number, and my employee name is 10 digits. Let us say employee EMPL 58. Employee AB is my 10 digits, and date of birth is 4 plus 2, 8 digits. Let us say 10 03 1987, like this. So this is a fixed length format. Now let us say some employee has having the name as only 3 digits. Then what will happen? This is how it will be. ABC is their name, and after that you'll have a spaces, and let us say their 81, like this. This is a fixed length format. Okay, when you're designing data file, you have to come up, say, see, who will decide the data format? Data format generally will be decided by the source system only, because in some systems, you will not have the flexibility to generate the data whatever the way we want, right? They'll say that, no, we can provide the data only in this format. You just need to transform it whatever the way you want. So it all depends upon your source systems. Okay. So where are we now? Yeah, we can just go through slide. Yeah. Structure of the data file. The data file can be fixed format or variable record format. Fixed format will be look like the below, in case you give a specific position for each particular column. Okay. and this one is a delimiter based one. Each particular data got separated by piping symbol here. Yeah, so you understood about the data format, right? Pixel length or the delimiter based.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Now let us understand how do you design a control file. See, for control file designing, it is you can consider it as another programming language, but not totally a programming language because it just have around 15 commands. So when you just have a 15 commands, you cannot call it as a programming language because every programming language will have a set of features, right? If nothing but you should have a loop, you should have a variable declaration, should have a program, you should have a compiler kind of thing. So this SQLLoader is a utility. Okay, it just have around 15 or 20 odd commands. We just need to understand each particular command purpose, and based on that, we have to design the control file. The first command in the SQLLoader control file is load data. It's first command in file followed by the file name. Okay, what is your input file? The SQLLoader requires your input file name as well as it requires your database schema username and password. And after that, it is having set of operations, nothing but like whether you want to insert, whether you want to update, whether you want to replace or truncate, into which table you want to do it, into which table you have to mention the table name, the target table name, and what is the format of your source information, because it has to read the data based on that particular way, right? Let us say if it is a comma separated way, it has to read a different way. If it is a fixed length, it has to have a different way. So the parsing will should be different based on the different your input source. Okay, one minute. Okay, so now here, one minute, where did I start? Yeah, so the fields are terminated by piping symbol, optionally enclosed by single quotes. When you data file have a set of, in some scenarios, assume that some set of employee names may have, like a single code in their names, or maybe let us say some set of, like a company names may have a single code or hyphen in their names, right? So we need to understand, we have to tell that exact information to SQLLoader, because generally if it is single code, it considered as a separate column. So we have to tell that when there is a chance that your data file, a column value may also have a single code, that information also we have to give a clarity to this particular SQLLoader. So those things we generally have to mention. And this is one of the example here. If you observe, these are the column, and we have to mention what is the data type also. And most of the issues we generally come across about the dates. We have to clearly mention how we want to consider the date format. And we can also generate let us serial numbers. Now let us assume that you are getting some data, and what you want to do is while inserting data into your custom table, you want to mention a particular sequence number. That also we can do as some default numbers. Or let us say you have a space in your day, let us say in a source system, there's a due to some particular issue in the source system, each employee name is having 5 digits extra space in the last. You want to truncate that while uploading the data into your staging table. These things also we can do it. And you can mention default values also. Let us say, assume that you're loading the general ledger data for a particular operating unit, and the currency is by default USD. There is no predefined mentioning of that particular value, so we just want to consider USD every time whenever you load the data. These things also we can consider. Or a creation date. Let us say creation date, the date when you are creating, generate a sys date. That also you want to consider as a default, right? And this one of the example here. Yeah, so this is a example here. This is how we try to write it. Now load data in file. So we have to mention the location of the file. But what is this location? How do we mention that, right? See, Oracle ERP is installed in a particular system, and the Oracle ERP system can read their middleware information only. They cannot read the information from other FTP location. So this in file, nothing but the data file has to be available within the Oracle middleware only. Then only it will work. So, but who will provide the file here? Now, let us say you want to integrate SAP to Oracle, but SAP will not have the link to the Oracle, and Oracle will not have the link to SAP. So there should be some other middleware program which will copy the data file from the source system to target system. So this copy of the file should be done through other program. We cannot do that copy operation. Maybe you have to use a Unix SCP command. Okay. So the data file has to be copied into our target system first. Once the file is available in our target system, then we have to design our control file. So load data in file You just mention, like what is your CSV, what is your data file, and into which table fields terminated by comma, nothing but like how your data file is. Generally, like this is the most predominant stuff. Like you have a CSV file and each particular column gets separated by comma, and you need to mention that, what are the columns available in your particular stuff. Okay, that we have to mention. Yeah, this is one example actually.
Metadata we're giving here,
Sorry.
or only the column names? We are giving the metadata or only the column names?
These are the column names from this particular table, KAP underscore EMP table, right? So we want to load the data into this table, and we are mentioning that whatever the column values you come across in the CSV, load them into the appropriate sequence. Now, my first column is EMP number, second column is EMP name, third is department number, and fourth is department name.
Okay, now the columns we are seeing here are target column names or source column names?
These are target column names, the table column names.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll show you a sample so then we can get very easier clarity. Okay, let me, yeah, one more. These are all same samples. Okay, let me design a sample, then we can have a clarity. See, this is one sample.
It's okay. Let's see that later we can.
Yeah. 1 minute. Yeah, this is for registering a concurrent program. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so now we'll start with a sample then. Okay. What we do is like first basic thing, when you want to design a SQL loader, what we require, we have to consider what is a data file and target table. So for designing a SQL loader program, we just need to understand what is a data file and what is a target table. Once you have this information, then design the control file. Okay. So what we do is, let us go to database now. I mean our remote desktop. So I'll just create a table. Okay. So I'm just considering a very simple table which will have 3 columns. Okay, I'll just say create table XX SQL, or maybe let us say EMP data table. Okay, 3 columns. Fine. Now this is my target table. Now we need to prepare our data file, right? So let us design the data file. EMP data. I'll just mention like this only, data.csv. Okay, this is my data. Now we just require 3 columns, right? So serial number, name, and department number. Serial number, name, and department number. So this is how my format is, right? Let me have 4 more records. So generally, like if at all preparation of this data is in Notepad, if it is difficult, generally what they do is, most of the business users generally they use Excel sheet, and using that they'll prepare it. So SQLLoader is a utility which comes with Oracle database by default. It is not specific to Oracle ERP. It is just is a utility which is available with the database by default. Even when you install Oracle database in your system, you'll get the SQLLoader utility. Okay. So now this is my data file. Now once you have the data file, we just need to design our control file. Okay. So I'll design a control file now. So control file, generally the preference is you should have the file extension as CTL. Okay. So let me get the syntax. Load data in file append into table. This should be fine. So we need to mention which location, but as of now, let's leave that. And which table? Let's mention the table name. And fields terminated by comma. Fields are terminated, nothing but fields are separated by comma. And what are the column names? Serial number, name, and department name. Right? So maybe I can change the data to have a department number, name, IT accounts, finance, something like this. Okay, different departments. Now, next what we have to do, our control program is designed, but like we have to mention from which location the control program will read it, right? So generally what we do is in a normal real-time scenario, we'll be copying the data file into one of the EB's location, so any valid location. So maybe what I will do is we can also move the data file into our normal FND top or maybe any of the top location, or maybe like a designated location which will be provided by your your SMEs. In our case, what we do is, let us say within the FND top, I'll just create one folder mentioning that like it is my EMP data. Because this is seated at top, right? So nobody prefers to touch this one. Nobody prefers to create any folders here generally. Okay. So if that is the case, what you can do is like generally, maybe home Apple manager. We can create one folder here. That is also a possible scenario. Or maybe like generally we have something called instance top. Instance top also generally most of the times you will have a data file folder. Okay. Here also we can do it, but what we do is, let us say, not to have more confusion, but let us say we'll just go with our FNA top location only. There only we'll keep our data file as well as control file. Apple top FND, right? So here what we do is, generally let's go with the bin folder only. Later we'll understand why you have to use bin folder. Okay. So now in this one, I'll just create. Okay. So I just created a folder called XXLTEMP. Now, what are the two files which you created? Our data file as well as control file. I'll just move to this location. These two files, I'll just move here. Generally, whenever copying the data file, always try to copy in the text mode. Most of the times you'll have issues while copying the data file from your source system to target system, and because most of the source system, you may have an option like you'll be working on the Windows environment, and if you're copying from Windows environment to Unix environment, what happens is the last line, I mean to say, like the new line sequence get changed. So make sure that you use text format. Okay. Now we have copied the content here. Yeah, let me increase the font. Okay, right? So just type SQLLDR. First of all, type this command. If you get some information, it means that as a user, you're authorized to execute the command, because in some set of environments, you'll not be given permission by default. You have to get access from your DBA asking need to provide this particular control file execution, SQLLoader execution. Okay. And here just see this particular information. This is how we have to execute the file. Copy the command. And one more important thing is, see, in our data file, in our control file, we have to mention what is the
The
location of
command
our
prompt,
data file, right?
the command prompt we are seeing is putty, is it?
Yes, from putty we are trying to execute now.
Okay.
From putty we are trying to execute. Okay, so now I just mentioned what is the location of my data file. This is my location of the data file, load data in file, and this is a total location in a single quotes. Okay, let me update the file now. So why I'm choosing putty? Because see, generally now in the real time, you'll not like see who will execute this particular one. We will not do this manual execution every time, right? I'm just giving, like this is the initial configuration. Once you have done this one, later on what we do is we'll register it as a concurrent program. As of now, we are not registering it as concurrent program. We just want to just see the sample how it works. Once we are clear with this, then we'll understand how do you register a control file as a concurrent program, and you can just seamlessly run the program from the front end. This doesn't require any putty stuff. Okay. Now to execute this command, you just require SQLLDR apps/apps username password followed by control is equal to control file name xslt emb data. What is the file name? Sorry, control file name dot ctl. Okay, this is the command. SQLLDR username password. Username password is of the database, because this is a database utility. That's the reason I was telling you, like it's a database utility, so you require username password of your database. Okay, now just enter, and maybe it will give you some information saying saying that if it having an issue. Yeah, now it's saying that no such file or directory. So just try to check out whether there's any issue with this one. I'll try ls-ltr. Sorry, no file, right? It's saying no file. Why? Oh, okay. There is some issue here. Okay. See, this is Windows stuff, right? This Unix stuff, right? So here, this is a mistake. Text. Try again. Okay. It's saying that like commit point reach logical record and something it gave, and check out. Just refresh here. It will generate a log file, right? Can you see? It generated a log file now. Just open this and check out whether it is giving any information. And here it will clearly mention what happened to the program output. What is the execution it has done. Now, if you see here, it clearly mentioned which table it is loading the data, and what is the data file, and what is the control program, what is a bad file, discard file, everything it will mention clearly, and how much time it took, how much data it read, what are the columns it read. So now here, if you observe, it is saying that in this table, it inserted this set of data, and it clearly mentioned 5 rows successfully loaded. It gets automatical commit. It doesn't require any explicit commit. Now what you do, just try to check the data from your database. Right? Were you able to see the data from database? Got some clarity now?
Yes.
So just understand the functional. Don't worry about how do
Yeah.
you write it and all those things. Just understand the purpose. If you understand the purpose, 50% of your clarity will, 50% you'll get a confidence on that.
Yeah.
Okay. So the same way, we can try with the different set of data formats. You can try with, like what you say, delimit fixed length formats, or you can try with what you say, different kind of, a special symbol rather than just a comma. You can try with the other kind of symbol also. We just consider only comma, right? You can consider with another symbol. And what I'll do is I'll try to show you the XML one also. Reading the XML file generally is a very rare case scenario. And other thing you'll come across is like there are chances that you may have header information and line information in a single table. So the scenario is, let us say, and some clients say that like I'll send you a data file. Okay, in the data file, I will have the information about my header information as well as line information. Let us say you have a sales order, and they say that, hey, like assume that they'll say that like 50 records are there, and the 50 records, like what is the thing is like between the header and lines, there is a column called type. So H is for headers and L is for lines. We just need to insert this particular data from a single file into multiple tables based on the data type, based on the like a type of your data. Nothing but like they'll have a specific column saying that whether the content type is for the header or for the line. So these kind of things will come across generally. Okay. So far clear the simple sample?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Clear.
Yeah. So what I will do is I'll stop here today. So tomorrow,
What if in the file?
yeah, tell me.
Yeah, in the data file, if we have the column information, like usually when we get in a CSV format, we'll have the uh, mm, table structure as well, right?
Yeah, see what I'm saying is that,
Like EMP number. First, maybe if we want to skip some days,
Mhm. Yeah, we can skip that. We have an option to skip them also. Yes. Let us say, yeah, see,
you understand what I have asked? Like, yeah, if the data file has the first, it has the column information like EMP number, EME name, DPT number. After that, if it has data, we should skip the first line, right?
yeah. So generally, like, most of the times when you have a data file, the first line will be a column names, and then the data will start from the second line. Yes, we have an option to skip that first line also. In the control file, we can mention like skip the line.
Okay.
Yes, we have that option. Can you see here? Option skip is equal to 1.
Based on that first line, can we create a new table as well? Like, can we give create
No, there's
with
no,
the given column name?
no, you don't have that option. You cannot create here.
Okay.
Okay. So what I'll try to show you in the next session is like we'll try to load the data into multiple tables. Okay. And how do you skip
Mm-hmm.
columns? Skip columns as well as rows. Okay. Skip columns, skip rows,
Mm-hmm.
and filtering of data also. Let us say you have data of 100 records, but in the target system you want to load only the set of records which satisfy your criteria. Nothing but if their creation data is greater than 2017, those data only you want to consider while inserting into table. That thing. Yeah, these four should be fine. Once we are done with this, later on what we do is we'll register the SQLLoader as a concurrent program, and then we can design a full interface, like a real interface, how it works.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay then. Bye.
Thank you.
Yep.